So guys, it's going to be a windy one. I'm down here in Torquay, fishing on the rock mark. Been to see Dave Keely side one at Lewis, been doing a bit of filming there, and I've got the tackle shop's got no ragworm at all as I speak. They said it wouldn't be until Friday, and that's Tuesday. Wow, bit of a swell, bit of a sort of southeasterly there if it kicks in. Rigs are Nomura Kanji. What else? In fact, double Nomuras here. Probably my most used and abused Nomura Kanji 2.40, 40 to 80 grams casting weight, which means nothing to me, folks, as I'm using a nut, if you could say I am using one of my nuts. Paternoster single hook. It's going to be small wrasse, so you can see I'm going to lose gear, I dare say, hence the fact I'm using an old nut. Same on the other one, but I'm using a homemade drop shot weight there, if you can see that. Someone tried to make a homemade drop shot weight. I'm going to be lobbing one down here and one further out with what's left of some frozen ragworm. Now, you say there's nowhere to put your rod, Graham. You do not want your line touching on the barnacles. So I've got one of these. I've made this up. When I was over in the Isles of Scilly about 40 years ago, the rock guys there had them much longer than this for their rods. I've used a stainless steel bolt. I think Wayne will be shocked to see I've used one of his bolts there. 2 bits of flat wood. You just put your rod into the V, and effectively your rod makes the third leg like this and rests it there. Let me show you. So I can cast out and leave a second rod there just in case I get some other bites. The bait is sketchy to say the least. There's been bits of ragworm left over. I've also got my own wraps of really gunky. I've tried to keep them frozen for as long as I can, but they thawed out. Ragworm, bits of frozen ragworm there. So I've got ragworm and some old licorice stick lugworm there. And just get out what we can. I'm going to drop one down here. I'm going to chuck the old nut one out there. Hook strip, guys. If you get more than 2 or 3 of those drummy little bites, bait up again. Chances are you're sitting there with a bare hook. That's a bit more like it, people. Nice wrasse. Guys, I've got a real clonker here. Not sure how I'm going to get him out. How about that? Oh my God. Look at the size of this one and the colours. Look at the colours, and that's a big fish. But down here it is anyway. What a smart money move. Keeping all of those worms. Look at that for a shorefish, people. You can't ask better. They call them kelp donkeys for some reason. It's a fashion thing. It's actually a ballan wrasse. But that's a beaut. A tiny bite. I mean a tiny bite. Great fish. Let's get it back. Or not. Another thing you can do if you've got dried out worms, not the rag, but like these, where the freezer has dried them out, there's no reason, if you can find a rock pool, obviously you can't do it, this off a beach, find a little small rock pool, let's find one, say there, and just dunk them in there, let them soak up some water, and that should soften them up, rather than waiting for them to soften inside. You can see they're so buoyant, look, they're like popped to the surface, they're so dried out. So another little tip there, and we're going to whack some of those on in a minute. It's got a bit quiet, but I just had lunch, so the sun's come back out, and I hope that's going to bring the fish out as well. What a day. So in contrast, if the ragworm are wet and squishy, bear in mind they're frozen, trying to firm them up by drape them over the rock and just leave them in the sun to dry a little bit. It might just help them a bit and firm them up a little bit. So we're working both ways. We're putting water or moisture into the lugworm and the leftover frozen ragworm, and salted, these are salted as well, trying to just dry them a little bit to get them on the hook better. Well, it's gone quiet now. Wind's gone down a bit, that's one good thing, but also the fishing's gone down. I know 2 or 3 smaller wrasse, didn't film them all. I tried spinning for mackerel or whatever's about with small little jig, nothing there. Just grateful to wind. It's a beautiful afternoon, late afternoon now, but I've got like a 3¼ hour drive home after a night in the car last night. So I'm getting a bit tired. I've noticed, obviously I'm of senior years now, and I've done this many times, but turning over on the rocks, I really don't need to. I go down and crack my head when I'm on my own, and the phone's switched off anyway. So I figure safety is a better part of valour, is that the one? And I'm going to pack up, start the drive home, because I've had a couple of little sketches on the rocks, you know, whoa, like that. So I realised I'm not as agile as I used to be. However, I'm still very fortunate to be able to climb over all this lot at my age. I realise that I'm lucky. So we're going to wind this one in, throw the last of those dried out worms, and make my way home. But folks, what a setting down here on the south coast of Devon. Torquay, well, Torquay's around the corner there. Shame to go really. I fancy banging out some big mackerel baits on the bottom to see if there's any congers or huss around. Oh well, let's go and get in the traffic queue. Well, that was a really entertaining little rock hopping session, although I did a little bit of sort of Irish dancing on those rocks at one stage, a couple of times. It was a little bit sketchy at my age, 73. I don't meet many other, if any other, 73-year-olds jumping around the rocks like that. So I'm well aware I have got to be a little bit careful, but I'll do the best I can. I'm not going to give up yet. Anyway, onto the random section, and of course there's always something different in there. You never know what you're going to get on the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. I could put anything in my random section. To be honest, it's my favourite bit. Anyway, loads of tools here. Are any of you old enough to be able to name some of these tools? Let us know in the comments if you recognise them. So following on from the bee lady, we've got another lady here that specialises and called, if you could tell us.
Mama's Beeswax. I'm Helen from Mama's Beeswax.
Now, tell us, Helen, what else can you make regarding bees?
So most people would go for the honey as being the most obvious thing.
That's obvious, yeah.
Yeah, and then beeswax candles are really simple to make. But I'm taking things to another level, and I've got soaps that people can use. I've got shampoo bars that contain honey, which are lovely for the hair. I've got a honey and salt scrub bar, which is an exfoliator bar, and then I've got 3 body lotion bars, which are basically like body cream or hand lotion, but in a solid block with no plastic packaging. So all very environmentally friendly.
And all, I'm going to say, no additives, all that business, is just beeswax, or do you have to put stuff to solidify it?
Yeah, you put other things in. So the salt scrub obviously has salt in it and honey in it, olive oil and some other nourishing oils and waxes. I've got lip butter as well that has coconut oil in and castor oil. Just really soaks into the skin and keeps your lips from getting chapped.
And how do you actually, just talk us through what happens? How does it come from bees to the wax to get to the stage to manufacture it?
Yeah, so the bees have some glands in their belly where the wax comes from, and when they're really well fed on nectar, they start exuding the wax, and then they use their mandibles and their legs to shape it into the honeycomb, where they either store their food, the honey, or they lay their baby bees, and the baby bees, grow out from an egg until they're ready to hatch out into the.
So you'll be using, am I right saying, the honeycomb itself is the beeswax?
Is the beeswax.
So
I take clean honeycomb out of the hive, melt it down, filter it to get it super clean. As you can see, it's bright yellow and super clean. And then I use it as well to make other interesting things.
And I imagine it melts pretty quickly. It's not like a furnace or something. You just
no, just in a bain-marie like a chocolate maker would use.
Is there a way of, you have to clean it, treat it, or whatever? You just boil it down and it goes to a block on cooling?
Yeah, I just filter it through actually some nappy liners. I use bamboo nappy liners as a really eco-friendly way of filtering it. So I put the stuff that needs filtering in the top, pop it in a bain-marie, the steam comes up and it drips through the filter into a clean bowl below. And I have triple filtered beeswax.
Oh, brilliant, yeah. And then you can package it as you want. And like you had, you know, your blueberries, your rhubarb and all that, all to it, yeah. And how long have you been doing this?
Properly for just over a year now.
Yeah, and how's it been? How have you been going with it? Do you have a shop or you just do the shows?
I do shows and I have a little online shop as well.
Oh, I got you, yeah. Oh, that's interesting, brilliant, yeah. And the candles, how do you make the candles here?
Again, melted the beeswax, pop a wick into a mould and then pour the melted beeswax around it and just let it set. They're probably the simplest thing. That's where I started.
How do they burn compared with normal wax? What's the duration? How do they...
So it depends what you mean by normal wax, but a lot of candles are made from soy wax, which burns quite quickly. Beeswax burns quite slowly, but more importantly, it burns clean. It doesn't produce soot.
Yes,
which is why it's very favoured in churches, because it doesn't produce soot to dirty the inside stonework. So it is very lovely. It has a different ambience to a soy wax candle.
Well, it's good job I didn't bring the wife, because she'd be into the smell, you know. She could smell it. Oh, what's that one? Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, tell me what the sticks are at the end for. Is that just getting the honey out?
That's basically you can dip the stick into your honey and just drizzle it onto porridge or whatever it is you want to eat your honey with. So yeah, that's my gesture for wood fair, being as we're at a wood fair today.
Yeah, and the beehives there?
Candles as well.
Just take candles, yeah. Would they be perfume candles?
No, I don't add extra perfume. I think the beeswax smells
is enough, yeah. Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much.
It's quite all right. So this is my beeswax wrap. I've soaked it with beeswax, jojoba oil and gum resin, so it's sticky. But
what is it material?
It's cotton material.
Just a piece of cotton.
Imagine this is your sandwiches or your block of cheese. You pop it in the middle, wrap it up, excluding as much air as you can. I'm not doing it very well at the moment.
Yeah, but seal it effectively.
And then basically the warmth of your hand seals it. So you've got food safe packaging, plastic free, and you know, you go.
That's the eco-friendly cling film.
Yeah, basically it replaces cling film.
And you can just
wipe it with a cloth and use it up to 6 to 9 months rather than a piece of cling film that might last 24 hours.
My goodness me.
So it's the way forward.
So can I put my sandwich straight in that?
Straight in that.
Wow.
Yep, and that will keep your sandwich fresh all day. And then when it ultimately sort of loses its wax and its stickiness in 12 months' time, you just pop it in the compost heap because it's cotton, it'll rot away.
And it doesn't go greasy, slippery or anything like that? Yeah? It's weird, I can feel the texture of it. It's tacky.
Yeah.
What I call tacky.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
There we go.
I'm learning all the time today.
Indeed. We all are, every day's a school day.
So we're here with Jack Kerr, Blacksmith, world famous blacksmith, fabricator and welder. I know that because I'm reading that card. Give us a bit of a history on yourself and what you do and what you supply.
Yeah, so I started blacksmithing when I was 10 and basically just pottering about in the garden, making a couple of things, and then developed my skill through that. When I was 14, I did my first wood fair show, exhibiting like I am here.
Sure.
And then after that, I've just sort of gone through school. I went to a blacksmithing college, the head blacksmith at the college.
Where would that be? I've no idea.
So that there's Brinsby College is where I went for the open day.
That's a sort of Sparsholt College for agriculture. It's to say it's similar for blacksmithing.
Yes, pretty much, yeah. And then at that open day, the head blacksmith guy told me, "What are you doing? Just set up by yourself." So I went off and set up by myself, and here we are. I run a blacksmithing business, employ my younger brother, and we make handrails, gates, railings, chandeliers, all that sort of stuff.
So you do big stuff as well?
Yes, we do big stuff. This is our one show a year where we just bring along a couple of bits.
We'll just pick some bits up and run us through what the sort of things you do.
I mean, well, this is a little candle holder.
Yeah.
All hand forged from raw materials.
Would that be like mild steel? Would it be just mild?
Yeah, mild steel, just mild steel, and then we do a blacksmith finish on that. So
explain what that is.
Whilst it's still hot, we coat it in oil, and then because the pores of the steel are still open, the oil goes into the pores of the steel, and then it solidifies, basically like paints it on there, I guess.
It's not like when I see them plunging it, you know, when they plunge.
No, that would be hardening the steel. That's what you do to high carbon steel or some stainless steels which allow you to do so. And that's for knives or tools, whatever.
So this one here is for coloration to get that sort of effect on it. Almost like a sort of Japan look that they called it years ago.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Pretty much. That's what it is.
So what is the oil? It's not Duckham's 2050 or something. It's special stuff.
No, it's just boiled linseed oil we use for finishes on that. So I mean, you can also do it cold and then just rub it down. But
so these would be what? Log? Show us what they are.
So they're marshmallow toasters or toasting forks. So you stab on your bread, cook it over the fire, or marshmallows, whatever.
There's me thinking that was for turning logs over in a log burner or something.
You can
There's another marketing ploy. Yeah, exactly. So what it can be used for.
But yeah.
And the hooked implements there, what are these?
Oh, these are fire pokers, so they are for just shuffling around the fire, and then you can hang it up on a hook, whatever, once you're done.
And what I call a trivet over there, sort of clover shaped trivet?
Yeah, so when you've got fire on the floor, put this over the fire, and then you can set your pot on top. And,
what's the horseshoe at the end? Because I did a Farrier film yesterday, so
this is something my dad made years and years ago, hence why it's a little bit scuffed up.
And you still can't sell it?
Well, it's because my dad made it. But yeah, it's just a boot scraper, so you get that on there, boot scrape it, or you can stab it in the ground and use that like that. But yeah, it was just out of a horseshoe. So
what bargain? How much is that one?
Well, £5.
£5. It's got to be worth that for the seal and the label.
Well, we're just trying to get rid of it.
Oh, nice. Oh, well, £4 sounds better to me. What about is that for scraping the ash out of fires?
Yeah, so these things, they are actually for cooking on fires. So you can rake the coals.
Yes.
And it's hollow, so you can introduce oxygen to the flame. So,
you can blow it down it. That's
exactly,
a good idea.
So this end's flared and this end's pinched, so it pressurizes the air inside it and keeps your face away.
That's clever, isn't it? That is a clever idea.
Yeah.
Having had many blowing sessions trying to get fires going out in the woods for film, I know all about those. And what would these be?
So these are skewers, so like you'd see in the shops basically. You stick your meat on it or your vegetables,
for barbecuing
whatever.
Or open fire cooking,
barbecue and open fire cooking, all that sort of stuff.
And what would these be? Double
same
skewers,
sort of thing.
like kebab type, giant kebab.
Exactly, yeah. Big kebabs, or you can get a piece of meat on there. Just makes it so you can flip it over a bit easier.
I see. Well, the spins on the. If you put a single one, it was twist and spin.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
What are these? Just show those to the camera.
That's a bottle opener. So you hold that, get that underneath the cap.
I see. Yeah.
And then flick it up.
And you've got your own little stamp in there.
Yes, that's my logo.
Are you doing any forge work today?
Well, hopefully, yeah. I mean, it looks like it's going to clear up, so we should be able to.
Well, I'll come back and have a look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be
brilliant.
Good.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Jack. Is it what you're making now, a spindle for the chair?
Yeah. Just very nice wood actually, very straight grain.
What do you use, ash for that?
This is oak. So it's got good growth in it.
Straight grain's the answer, is it?
Yeah. I guess if you've got a real knotty grain, then you use that wood for something else, like a bowl, or it's got carrots in it. Yeah, this is dry wood, hence the sound.
The noise, I can hear that, yeah. A bit of the sort of Urkel design,
if you want it to look like that.
Is that what?
I got inspired off the Welsh stick chairs.
Oh yes.
They always looked a bit mean in size, the small seats, but...
Yeah, these got big seats, haven't they, these ones, yeah. Still very, very wide across there.
A bit more of a sort of throwing.
Are these all oak?
Those two are ash, and then the three at the end are oak. that's the year it was made.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah.
Tailor-made, I've got that's the
Neil
N.
Taylor.
That's it, Neil.
Taylor.
That's what I'm looking for the N then, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, lovely finish. Do you treat those with anything like linseed oil or varnish or
I
what?
used to use Danish, not anymore. I use a hard wax oil, a company called Fiddes. Quite happy with that. Fiddes hard wax oil. 2 coats, do what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
I get a bit bored of oiling. It gets to the point where I sort of want to finish stuff.
Ask you what the wood is that you use, like on the outside and stuff.
On the big one, on the little one, they're oak ribs.
It's oak, yeah. You have to steam them, do you?
One, yeah, they're steam bent oak ribs.
Yeah.
And red cedar planks.
Red cedar. Oh, yeah.
Red cedar. On the other ones, it's all sweet chestnut.
This big one.
Yeah, and the one inside it, that's all sweet chestnut.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, basically what it is, in this area there's a hell of a lot of old coppices which were left after the war.
Yeah.
They're now this big, they're dying. So
Yeah.
I've got a few friends who go in and they're recoppicing to regenerate the growth.
Gotcha.
And nobody wants the wood. No one wants it. Basically they're chopping it up and using it for firewood.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So-
The guy does the hazel fencing.
Yeah.
Was talking about the stakes going in the ground. The best stake, without doubt, shadow of that, was sweet chestnut.
Sweet chestnut.
So I figured,
So
is
it's
that like a waterproofing thing? Is it a similar reason he has
It's
it for?
very durable.
Yeah.
It's as durable as oak.
Yeah.
It's not as heavy as oak.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not as strong as oak. So it took me an awful lot of
Screws.
recalculate.
A lot of screws.
Oh, this one, they're all slotted bronze.
Yeah.
This will have 6,000 of them when it's done.
6,000.
Yeah, all done up by hand.
Wow.
Literally every single one.
So you can feel
Can't
the
use a
tension and
driver.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, so you can dress them, and if you did it with a driver, I guarantee
It's going through.
it will slip and go straight through the side.
Yeah.
That plank is knackered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's 180 of them on that plank,
Wow. Really.
and you've just knackered the last one, so you've got to take it all off and do it again. It's like, no, do them all up by hand.
I'm calling those ribs. Do you these?
These are just holding it together whilst I transport it.
I see. Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
It's only been planked, it's only got 4 planks, so it's almost a flat plank at the bottom.
Yeah.
If I picked it up without these, it will snap in half.
It'll be gone. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had to do something to get it here. I wasn't meant to be moving it yet.
I've got to say, a bit fragile. How long is it? 30 something?
30
feet, yeah. So
It's
the boat, I think
legally-
it's twice as big as a boat, yeah.
It's legally too big to put on the road.
Yeah,
That's why it's in 3 pieces.
I've
It
got
comes
you, yeah,
apart.
yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, I have to hire a bloody
Don't,
articulated
yeah, it's not
lorry.
worth it, yeah.
It'll get expensive, you know. Especially when I start hiring it out, I can't afford.
And what do you, like that small one, looks quite cute, you know, do you have to treat it with stuff or what?
That's 9 years old now. I built that for my grandson when he was 3.
Yes, yeah.
He's grown out of it now. It's built exactly the same way, apart from these are laminated ribs because it's chestnut. I can do that,
Yes,
and these are steam bent.
I
oak.
see, yeah.
Apart from that, you've got. I mean, the wood is different because this is cedar. This is you see there. That's a scarf joint. So it's a very long, thin slice.
Yes.
Overlapping. It's done so you save wood because that's
Yeah.
got such a curve. If you did it in one piece, that piece of wood would have been about 9-10 inches thick.
Yes.
Instead, I can get it out to 4.5. So you
Gotcha.
save a lot of wood. That is the only glue in this boat. There is no resins. There's no sealants to seal it.
What will go in there? Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
Nothing. If you glue that joint,
Yeah.
this boat will now become brittle. So
Oh,
if
is that
it
right?
had an impact,
So it needs to flex, isn't it?
yeah, if it had an impact, it's going to break. Because this is screwed and it can move and no glue on there, I can pick it up, sorry about this, and I can do that.
Don't.
I've done it hundreds of times this week. In the last 4 years, that's been done thousands of times.
Really?
And it's still watertight. Because the screws are just
can move.
that little bit of movement
In there.
the impact. It makes it durable.
Yes,
It gets knocked about, it gets kicked about. That was made 9 years ago. It was oiled.
Linseed oil would you use in that?
2 coats of linseed, 2 coats of Osmo exterior.
What's that last one?
Osmo.
What's that?
It was originally developed as a floor oil. It's a hard penetrating wax oil.
Yes.
It's good for about 5 years, and you've still got a reasonable sheen on it.
Yeah.
That was done 9 years ago. Year before last, I think it was, I gave it a quick coat of linseed because it would really stick with dust. That's the only love and care
That's all it
it's
is,
ever had.
really.
It's just been kicked about, thrown about. It fell 8 foot off the roof of my building at one show. I did panic because it's the first time I dropped it.
So that one you're not going to sell because you've had it that long?
I use it for demonstration.
That's what I mean, yeah, because if you've done it 9 years, it's a nice little one.
First one.
Quite cute, I know what you're saying, yeah. You know, I've been to a show yesterday, at Alsford show.
Yeah.
Because everybody who's a craftsman like yourself
Yeah.
is here.
Yeah.
I haven't got to go and find them, I just walk around and find somebody interested.
But that's the idea of these shows, is to promote each other and hopefully have a decent day out.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why we got all the Vikings. I'm affiliated with Vikings and stuff. This big one is I'm going to do a little conversion for them so they can turn it into a Viking longship.
Yes,
for their
yeah.
shows.
Higher bow, is that what they do for the long ships?
It basically, it's a
Swept
similar
up somehow,
shape.
isn't it?
It's not the same construction, but a similar shape, but the bow will come up and back, and I'm going to get a dragon head made for one end.
Oh, that'd be nice, yeah.
Just so they can put it up on their stands when they're out. Yeah.
Cool,
Thank you. These screws, they all face that way, so the slot runs exactly the same way each time.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Apart from where you get to the bow where it follows the bow. The reason for that is not because it looks pretty.
Yeah.
The actual reason is in 20 years time and it's full of gunk and everything else,
yes.
and you want to replace the plank, you undo one screw and you spend 10 minutes trying to find out which way it's going. You start digging a hole in it. That one goes that way. You know they all sit that way, so it causes a lot less damage when you do the repairs. That's the actual reason they do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely piece of work.
And to be honest, it does look nice.
Yeah, you can't beat wood, can you? Just how many screws were put into the hull of that boat by hand. Absolutely amazing piece of craftsmanship. Take my hat off to that guy. That's a lot of work there. Now then, why don't we drop over to somebody else who can give us some information, especially you beginners out there. You want to know something about what fishing rod to get. Yes, the man to speak to, Grant's Tackle Up. Let's see what he has to say.
Hi Graeme, I'm just going to run through today with some of the basic float rods patterns. So obviously some of you guys starting off fishing will be very baffled as you walk in the shop and there's millions of rods, loads to look at. They all look the same but they all have a purpose and a job. So I've picked out what I normally suggest people starting off. This is a 10-foot pellet waggler, so it's probably a bit stiffer than what people would normally be used to, but it's ideal for catching carp, mainly at commercial fisheries, but you could use it on the canal for the smaller kids because it's a short rod. But nice quality for the money, all carbon fibre, and the massive retail of, which doesn't come up often on a carbon fibre.
This is 2025 with a
2025,
so it changes.
£35. Okay, just for the rod.
That's a new one.
That's a brand new rod. So cork handle, winch fitting, which obviously you remember in the day when our cheap rods with our push fit fittings, and then you play your fishing, your reel falls on your feet.
I've had that many times, yeah.
So but it is some nice bit of EVA. Then they've put a little collar in there and a bit of cork just to give it a bit of look, which gives it a nice look.
So being a feeder type rod, no, so
this one's a pellet waggler.
So it's a heavier float.
It's a heavier float rod, yes.
Is that what that? Why would they put that? I'm going to call it whatever it is, foam, ether foam, whatever they call it.
EVA
at the bottom,
foam, it's like the dupe and foam. It's more just for a look, Graeme.
It's not there for a reason.
I would say to make the price cheap on the cork handle, because cork these days is very expensive, and you'll find the cork isn't the quality it used to be. I think it's used other places in the world for other things and other trades, so probably not necessity for fishing. But so yeah, this cork's still alright, but I've had some corks nasty that comes through now. It's very gappy and bitty, whereas you're probably fine. That's what they do. It gives it a bit of a look to have a cork handle, but they put an EVA handle to save money, I would say. So nicely whipped, so epoxy whipped ring. So this has got a hook keeper If you
That's
know,
a
you know
little
what that
tag
is.
there that I was
It's a little
using.
tag, so you can hook it forward. So the idea being is you can leave your rod set up in 2-piece, fold it in half. Your hook's obviously on the hook keeper and fold it in back. So yeah, there's a bit of information on the blank of a rod you might see. So that's the model. The brand is DAM, which some of you might not know, but other people will, from like probably late 80s into 90s, a very popular brand. Pellet Wagless, that's the style of rod it is, and that's just the model called Intense. Okay, and then if you spin your rods over, 9 times out of 10, on the base of the rod it'll give you some information. So that's a product code, so if you broke it you could go with a product code to replace. The length of the rod 10 foot, or in metres it's 3 metres, and they're saying it's an 8 to 12 pound reel line, and the rod is 2 sections. Okay,
Yeah.
so 8 to 12 pound line, I get asked this question quite a lot. Well, it's 8 to 12, I want to use a 4 pound reel line on it, can I do that? Yes you can, you won't overdo it. If you put a 20 pound line on it, it might be strong enough to snap the rod if you've hooked something very big.
Yeah.
But there's no reason you couldn't put 15 pounds if you wanted, but you can't give it everything. But they're suggesting it's optimum for casting, weight, distance, 8 to 12. I'd say 12 is getting on the heavy side for a float rod, so I think like you could fish that 4 to 8 pounds quite happily and cast it very easily. So being a 10-foot rod, if there's juniors starting or you're slightly shorter for a short rod, 10 foot's quite ideal. Then obviously we've got another version here, again exactly the same model, same whipping, same everything, but we're just 11 foot, so 3.3 metres, and it's still running at 8 to 12 pound reel line. These haven't got Fuji guides, which you'll get on your more expensive rods, but you still have a standoff leg, and this is a twin double leg, which I like because obviously they don't bend on
Very
the base
high,
of
isn't it? So off the
quite
blank.
high. So the reason of a high eye would be when you have a fixed ball reel. So obviously the handle and the base of it's going to be sat up here somewhere.
Yeah.
So when it coils off, you're going to stand off. You'll find a multiplier rod. The eyes are normally very tight to the blank because it's coming directly off there and through and down. So I'll grab a rod of it, the multiplier, and show you the difference. Basically, so those are your pellet waggler rods, which is probably not one of the most traditional rod because they're 2-piece. A lot of your traditional rods would have been maybe a 3-piece rod, you might remember. Even 12 foot probably when you were fishing years ago was a 3-piece rod, whereas most now,
it seemed to be the standard. Yeah.
so 10, 11, 12 foot tend to be 2 rod sections now, 2 sections. Okay. Then I've got here, which would be what they call like a traditional sort of float match rod. So foot. Oh, have I picked out a 14 foot? I have. Yeah, so
it's a 3-piece, 14-foot max.
this is a
rod.
3-piece. I thought I picked up. So generally, once they go to 13 foot, they go back to 3-piece rods.
Yes,
It's not everyone's
yes, yeah.
favourite because you can't preset them up before you go. But I still like a longer rod. That's that's why I've always liked it for striking things like you pick the line up faster. So this one on here is made by Shimano. It's an Olivio match, 4.2 metres. So that will stand you in at 14 foot. So under here that gives you a casting weight 5 to 20 grams, which is a bit odd on this being a float rod, but up to 20 gram float it's saying you can cast, which is quite heavy. Again, nice whippings, different colours.
Big standoff.
Big
there.
standoff eyes, and obviously they slowly reduce up the blank, as you can see. So that's the number 1 section. Obviously gets less and less going up. So advantages to fishing short rods, long rods. Again, my thing is striking. If you're fishing over distance, you'll pick more line up with a longer rod faster for striking to hit a bite. And your shorter rods, obviously, you'll pick up a little less. But relevant to where you're fishing. If you're fishing in a small pond or a big lake, you can do either.
Now, just down the end there, I noticed that's sort of the ring, the tip ring is sloping away, rather than vertical to the blank.
I think it's
Is
just
that
a
something
style
new?
of not new. If you look at, if I went through all the rods in the shop, they're all slightly different. I would say it's just more for the way the line falls out, and I think it just sits nicer out the tip of the ring. So if your line's coming out, it's going to fall away nicer. If your ride was down, it's going to come down and go. So that's the only explanation I've got for that. They don't normally give us anything like that. Let's have a look at that eye, see how much standoff that one is. See, obviously it's fine.
It's like
the same
slow
sort of
back.
style.
Yeah,
So I think probably, being a float rod for striking
you
more
can see
than
it there,
anything.
guys,
Yeah, so it's got like a
it slopes backwards, rather than being vertical. The ring is sloping back.
This is a feeder tip here out of a rod, and you'll see it's got a vertical eye, which obviously the line's doing a different thing.
Oh, there you go. I thought it was something put behind there. There you can see it. Look.
Yeah. So if I put that one.
Yeah, you can see it against the back of the hand. Yeah, totally different.
Sorry, more steady
totally
there,
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say, being a feeder rod, your line's going to sit like this, and it's bent round on a bit of tension. Isn't
Oh,
it,
I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the lines do it
Sideways.
something
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Whereas on the float rod, I think you're striking and stuff, you want the line pointing directly at. So,
Yes, I've got it now. I've learned something there. Yep.
but there you go. So that's your career tip. So float rods generally come in quite a few different sizes, starting normally from 10 foot, 11 foot, 13, 14, 15, 16, up to 17, and occasionally they do like 20 foot rods as well.
Not for running line, surely.
For running line, yes.
Really?
So probably think back in the day when poles were still being fished in matches,
Yeah.
but a long rod came into an advantage in certain places, and I think probably when the carp start coming around, the bigger fish, you've got a bit more pressure to get them in faster.
I've never realised
So,
they went that big,
I
to be
think
honest.
maybe what I'll do a little video on some of the Drennan acolytes, and they've got a range of rods that go from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way up to 17 foot.
Wow.
So very long rods, but you know, more top end of the market,
Yeah.
and obviously everyday fishing rods, that's what we're looking at.
I'll tell you what, one of those 15, 16, 17 foot would be top end for me, the top end of the tree.
Top end of
as
the
I,
tree,
as I lift
definitely.
up to swing the floating or a fishing, it's definitely going up a tree or into a bush or something.
There's another, this is a 13 foot, what they call match rod again, so 3 pieces, carbon fibre, standoff eyes, it's got stainless steel guides here, but then an internal, just a ceramic eye.
Yeah.
I picked out a different batches, so people in Army ask me, what's the difference in a rod that's £40 and one that's £100? One, the brand name, is
Yes.
only one thing.
Yeah.
2, you pay for better quality eyes.
Yeah.
So what you'll find on a cheaper rod, and you hold it next to say a rod of the equivalent size, so 2 11 foot rods, one's £300, one's £35.
Yeah.
You'll notice the £300 rod will be very well balanced,
Yeah.
and it's more to do with quality of eyes being lighter, stops the fins so tippy. But you'll find they balance these out with weight in the butts on them and stuff, so they feel very level anyway.
I see, yes.
And obviously quality carbon recovery speed. So
Yes.
we'll have to show you on a rod that when you whack the tip down like that, it's how quick it goes back to its
It
natural
stops.
position.
Yeah.
Yes, without it waggling around. So
So as a general rule, I could say fiberglass would flop around more,
yes.
whereas
And
the
like-
finishing speed, it goes, boom, it stops
Yeah, it comes
quicker.
back to it. So the guys who buy these mega poles over a very long distance, like up to 16 metres,
Yeah.
most poles perform very similar at a certain price bracket for 11 metres, but over 11 metres,
Yeah.
you see the difference in the expense of the pole. So only the top end guys, but when they strike
Yeah.
and come back, it goes back to where it was, rather
Yeah,
than
it stops.
a bit of a wobble then stop. And you wouldn't think it make a lot of difference on a cast, so not a pole, but with a cast, a more stronger rod, stiff carbon will give you a better cast.
Well, thanks for watching this week's episode, everybody. As you know, here at TA Fishing, I try and mix it up with as many different things as I can. Yes, it takes me a bit of time to put it together. The biggest time is locating and finding those interesting topics. Hey, maybe some of you guys have got some topics out there. You say, Graeme, why don't you cover this? Or I know a man that does that. If it's not too far to drive, chances are I might go and do it. Something a bit different, a bit oddball, a bit old school, a bit country. I love the old stuff. We'll see you in the next episode. Fingers crossed, bit of fishing, bit of random stuff as well. Don't forget, pop over to Mike's TA Outdoors, see what he's up to. And don't forget his Life of Mike channel, where, was it last week, week before, we were trying to pull a tree down in my garden with a different type of Land Rover. You need to check it out, Life of Mike show. We'll see you next week, fingers crossed. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy your fishing, and we'll see you then.
Consider yourself a fisherman. Just how far do you want to take it? Subscribe to this channel for more awesome videos.